off a balanced budget, with this year being no exception. I do not know how we have accomplished it in this difficult economy, but we have. Hardworking county employees have played a major role. As we have lost employees, we have replaced few. We have more folks doing more work for the same pay than ever before. Based on this budget, our employees have not had a raise now in 3 years. Are they glad to have a job? Well, they are, but they also would like to have a little bit of money. But do they deserve a raise? Yes. And if it's possible in the upcoming year and things improve at least a little bit, we're going to try to see that that happens. My goal has been not to furlough or cut hours, and so far we've been able and successful to do that. However, the exception has been the health department employees who are technically state employees. Therefore, they've had county supplements that are suffered in many furlough days, and they're doing a whole lot more with less as well. You should be proud of our employees, as the vast majority work extremely hard for you, the taxpayers. This is the only way that Union County is able to still have the second or third lowest property tax rate in the state of Georgia out of 159 counties. There is not a single one of our peer counties that have property taxes as low as ours. When I'm talking about peer counties, I'm talking about counties generally in similar size, similar property values. We have been able to maintain services to our taxpayers, and although most government costs have increased, we have still done it with less money and without raising taxes. But in fact, reducing taxes for the past 3 years in a row. It's not been accomplished by wasting your money or having a corrupt government. It has been done with hard work, fiscal, conservative principles. I want to explain to you one reason that this is possible. We cut costs at every opportunity. Because we have a lean and a small government, we have to think outside the box, and sometimes our operation method may be a little strange to some. I have recently received criticism for not bidding all our projects and not always taking the lowest bid. At one time or the other, I'm guilty of both, but always to save the county money in the long run. In the past 2 years, my goal has been to create our own stimulus program for those guys with heavy equipment and truck operators, dump truck operators, who have been some of the hardest hit in this economy. We have sought out special projects, from widening dangerous sections of roadway, to repairing culverts, to grading splosh projects, all in an effort to help local contractors in our economy. We are doing this while most counties are spending nothing but the absolute minimum. How do we accomplish this? It's simple. We set the price, and if they want to work for us, we put them on the list and try to put them to work. When I took office 10 years ago, all trucking in the county was bid out to one company. Now we set the price. We pay all the companies the same price based on a reasonable return for their work and a good price for the county. I think we have about 14 different dump truck contractors in the county and probably about that many grading contractors. We do the same with paving contracts. We set the price and pay every company the same amount based on the volume of work that they do. We simply try to rotate and use all contractors so that they all can benefit from expending county funds. As an example of why we do it this way, this past year, an out-of-town paving contractor received the Department of Transportation bid for all the LARP, which is state aid and local assistance projects in the state that does our paving. They got the contract from out of town, and as a result, hundreds of thousands of dollars left Union County while local companies missed the bids. I happen to think that in these tough times, this is not good business for our county. I want to put our folks to work. The smaller contractors cannot afford to purchase bid and performance bonds. and extra insurance as required by state and federal contracts and guidelines. Can we distribute this work evenly among all these folks? It's pretty difficult. We try, but it's not always possible. Every job is different. We look at what the company last worked for the county, what equipment they have to do the job, and what their experience is with certain type of work. This is all subjective, but it's not based on politics. I think if you ask the contractors if they have appreciated the work, they will agree that they have. The only reason we do not have a lot of projects going on right now is because we're trying to build up our sales tax revenues. We hope soon to begin allowing trucks to haul our winter gravel allotment. This is how we save money. If I bid out every project, first I have to hire, and no offense to one I saw walk in, I have to hire an engineer and a surveyor to give us the detailed plans to use for the bidding. Second, I have to waste a lot of money with advertising space, sorry, Norman and Kenneth, in the newspaper. Third, we must pay for bid and performance bonds and rock pauses. And worst of all, we have absolutely no control over the contract going out of town and with somebody from there coming in with a winning bid and not giving jobs to any of our local contractors. I do not know about you, but this is not what is best for Union County. Does this contracting method occasionally cause a problem? Sometimes not having an engineered study can cost extra, but it is very seldom on the smaller projects. Mostly, pre-engineering lets you know what extra cost you may have ahead of time, but in the end, the same amount of work and cost is going to be required. We have saved the taxpayers a lot of money. We have completed a lot of worthwhile projects in the county, and we have put a lot of local people to work. And I'm proud of what we are doing. However, on our end, doing all these projects like this creates a lot of workload and pressure on the county employees. We have to supervise all projects closely, monitor costs, sometimes on a daily basis. When people ask me how we have so much in Union County, with such a small county with such a low property tax, this is one reason it happens. Does this method create an environment where possible corruption could take place? I don't think so. If anything, it keeps us on our toes, more because the contractors will let us know if something is going on they do not like or don't think is fair. The fact that we have a few select citizens who do not like me and do not have the ability to understand how local government works, who want to criticize most of what we do in Union County, should not impact the rest of us. I had a question posed to me recently about bids on our new Union County arena, and I want to address that. There were 3 quotes the county asked for from 3 contractors who had not done work recently for the county doing grading. And so we asked those 3 if they would submit a bid for work at the horse arena. Not a bid, but quotes. After we took their quotes, we found out that the Tennessee Valley Authority, who we've been working with for months to get them to move a power line, decided that they weren't going to move that power line. So what we had to do is move the entire horse arena. It was going to require a tremendous amount of grading that we had not anticipated prior to that. So we made the decision to use a different contractor who had heavier equipment, which was suited for this job. Those who put in bids but did not get the jobs are now on a short list for upcoming jobs. Union County Arena, even with the extra expenses, was built at an extremely reasonable price because the county was the general contractor. Gerald Patterson, a private citizen, volunteered to supervise most of the construction for the county. Our final price for the project will probably be in the $700,000 range. We have a first-class facility that most people in our county are very proud of, and if you haven't had a chance to see it, you will be amazed when you get that opportunity. There's not a price comparable or below that is built in any other county. The only county currently, Clayton County, or Clayton, Georgia, is building one right now. They estimated it would cost $500,000, and I talked to one of their commissioners. It's at $900,000 and still climbing. In addition to this project, we have recently completed the farmers market. I have seen more enthusiasm from folks on this project more than anything else we've done in this county before. I see a lot of shaking heads out there, smiling faces. It was also stated by those without understanding that we hired someone for a certain bid on this project, but ended up paying them significantly more than the bid price. The county was also the general contractor on this project, thereby allowing us to save a lot of money. We took quotes on subcontractors. Once we started digging the footings, we discovered because the total of the two buildings exceeded 150 feet in length, that we were going to be required to have a full engineered drawing of the structure. It cost us several thousands of dollars to get that done. This ultimately required that instead of a normal footing and post and concrete wire, we were now required to use larger posts, much larger footings, and instead of concrete wire, we had to use a whole network of rebar throughout not only the footings but the entire floor because of possible heavy vehicle loads. It took 3 days just to lay the rebar in those ditches. So naturally, this cost went higher than the bid. Bottom line, we have a great facility. Did it cost more than we estimated? Yes. But we have a facility that will never give any problems and will be able to serve this community for a lifetime. Larry Garrett, my assistant, and Randy Day, our building inspector, both help with all these projects as well as other department heads. We have all worked extremely hard at saving money in every area of county operation. I have a commitment to our citizens that if we build something, we're going to build it right. That is what we have done for the past 10 years and will continue to do going forward. Everyone may not agree with how we operate Union County, but it is our way. It works, and no other county can compare with how much we have for the amount of money we spend getting it. I think I'm going to take the coat off. Y'all get bored, you can leave, but I hope you don't. Many of you know me, but few know me real well. At the risk of bragging a little, and maybe even boring you a little bit, I want to remind you of who I am and what my vision is for Union County. There are a few of you in here that grew up with me. We had practically nothing in Union County but each other growing up. We had no park. We had one ball field at the school with just a little bit of grass in the outfield, rocks, a lot of rocks, and an old backstop that was full of holes. Most of us in high school had old cars, or if we were lucky to have a car at all, but most had none. We had elementary schools scattered throughout the county, Ivy Log, Young Cane, Town Creek, because it was so hard to get to town over the roads. We had almost all dirt roads other than state highways, and they were about as bad as dirt roads sometimes. The few paved roads we had were only because we had Caldwell Construction in town. Every year the Record Service was bid out by the school system to pull buses out of the ditches in the middle of the roads when it rained or snowed. Nobody had any money. We had good commissioners who worked hard, but they didn't have anything to work with, as Glenn can attest to. A few Florida folks had started to find Union County by that time, but very few, not many. My father would purchase real estate with someone that cut timber. He would take the land as his half, and the logger would take the timber. They were both worth about the same. Now, don't get me wrong. We were proud mountain folks, and we took care of ourselves and each other. But if it had not been for business folks, and I'm going to list a bunch of these, business folks like Bonnell Akins, Robert Butt, Robert Caldwell, Judge Candler, Tom Candler, Oak Pruitt, Randall and Ray Rogers, Terrell Jones, James Jones, Jack Tarpley, Bill Meeks, Harold Brewer Sr., Ben Carr, Bob Jones, Carlton Caldwell, Ronnie Davenport, John Bailey, Jim Dobson, Bob Head Sr., Clyde Nelson, Bruce Hunt, Paul Parrish, just to name a few. And these were the ones that are in town that I grew up knowing. It would have really been bad here. We have always had great leaders and visionaries in this county. How else did we finally end up with an airport, a golf course, small industry, and good roads? These folks, and many like them, molded this county and this town with hard work and innovative ideas. But what always held up the most was a lack of adequate funding. They had the smarts and the know-how, but had difficulty getting the money because there was no tax base. While I do not consider myself even in the league with these folks of yesteryear, who had to make progress with no money, I have had the opportunity to try to make progress with money. While property taxes are used mostly just to operate county government, the introduction of the special purpose local option sales tax was and has been huge for this county and our school system and many other counties in Georgia. It has given us the opportunity to have things we never thought possible only 20 years ago. And it is estimated that a large portion of this sales tax is paid by folks who don't even live here, but simply pass through or shop here. I'm telling you this story because I want to remind you of how good we have it, but also history is a wonderful tool to use for guidance of our future. Now to my vision for the future. Our vision for this county is that first, we keep a low property tax rate, as we always have. Second, that we provide as many services as are necessary and demanded by our citizens and affordable to our budget. Third, that we provide as many facilities as possible that we can afford to operate, afford to build, and that will enhance our quality of life. Fourth, maintain a steady growth rate in the 1.5% to 3% range per year that our county can absorb without having impacting our quality of life. And most importantly, fifth, concentrate on and work diligently to provide new and better jobs for our citizens and our kids coming behind them. Controlled economic development is vital for our future and for finding and maintaining a strong job market. This is our vision. Now, many people have volunteered their time and talents for many years and still do today, which is what helps make us one of the best counties in Georgia. My father and mother, while neither were born here, came in the late 1930s and spent their life trying to make this a better place to live and contributed much. When you are brought up in that environment, as I was fortunate enough to have, it eventually hits you and you try to do the same. After I graduated from the University of Georgia, I came home to make a living. However, it wasn't long until the genes from my parents started to kick in. First, the youth football program was falling apart. I had always been a part of the Blairsville Quarterback Club, and they asked me to volunteer to help that program. We didn't have much of a recreation program at that time. In fact, we didn't hardly have any at that time, but it was beginning. I said, well, I would help for a year to get it started. For 10 years, I ran, volunteered, and coached the youth football program, Pee-wees and midgets. Many of you in here, I coached your kids or grandkids. I did not have a kid in the program. We started the North Georgia Youth Football League. We would have 2 home games a year, which would be all 8 counties from around would come to those games. It was a huge day at the field. I would get up early, go to Foodland, pick up the candy, the Cokes, and the hot dogs. I would then go to the bank and pick up change for the money boxes. I would help stripe the football field if needed. I would go to the concession stand, divide up the money between the gate and the concession, get the hot dogs ready to cook, lay out the Cokes, get the ice in the cups, and then when the parents got there, they would start selling concessions. I would then go down to the field house and players would come already in uniform. I would sometimes referee for the Pee Wee game because others coached them. And then at halftime, I would usually go to the concession stand and help before my game started. I would then coach the midget team. After the game, I would go to the concession stand, sprint up the hill to the concession stand, get the money, take it back down on the field to pay the referees with. When the game was over and the ladies had cleaned up the concession stand, I would take home anything left to keep for the next home game. I would go home and spend usually 2 to 3 hours sitting on the floor counting all the money, putting it in clips and rolling all the coins. I would make the deposit at the bank the next morning. And of course, we would have practice at the old middle school 3 days a week and travel to games on every Saturday. I would also, as I photographed then, I would also take the team and individual photos, put them in a little packet, and sell them to the kids for $5 and give that money to the program. I would go to Knoxville, Tennessee once a year to buy uniforms and pads. I did this for about 10 years. I never had to ask the county for 1 penny. And when I finally gave the program to the recreation department, I also handed them about $4,500 to run the program with that I had managed to save through the years. I never took a penny. I then went from coaching to being asked to serve on the Union County Recreation Board. I served there about 10 years and was chairman for 8. As soon as I got on the board, we started planning the future of recreation in Union County. There were many great board members. We knew we needed property for a park and needed to expand our golf course to attract more visitors to the county. I spent hours and days going all over Georgia and North Carolina looking at other ballparks. All the while I was working, but because I had someone named Odina Gibson working for me and running the business, I was able to do this. It took many, many hours and days off, and I did it to help my county. All the board members looked for property, and we searched and searched for property. Finally, one day I was riding around with Bill Meeks, my neighbor and mentor, at his farm. My father had died when I was 12, and Bill and his family, who lived next door, had become like our family. I was telling him of our troubles and not being able to find any suitable property for a recreation park. He didn't say a thing. But a few days later, he came up and he said, "I think I've got some property you might want to look at. Let's go look at it." The rest is history. Meeks Park, one of the finest in the state, was built, and at the same time it was under construction, we built 9 new holes under the golf course, all without a single bid. For a year and a half, I was out there supervising both the construction of Meeks Park and the construction of the golf course almost every day. Only because Commissioner Glenn Gooch had been so frugal with county money was he able to guarantee our loan at the bank for nearly $2 million. So what is the purpose of this? Did I tell you this to brag about what I have done? No, not to brag, but to point out how I operate. After spending 10 years with youth football, 10 years on the recreation board, volunteering thousands of hours, driving my personal vehicle all over the place, looking at parks and playgrounds, I had no kids, and only years later would my one child reap the benefits of having a nice park. I did none of this alone, and always had huge and tremendous amount of support from this community. But I always took the lead. We built the park and the golf course for a fraction of the value because so many folks in Union County worked together to make it happen. It was not for personal gain, but simply using my talents trying to help my county. I never imagined that someday I would run for office and actually have an even greater opportunity to serve as commissioner and help my county and our recreation program. Now I come to tonight in this public hearing, when I finally stop talking, and I will, but not yet. You will have ample opportunity to ask questions. But before I quit, I want to talk to you about the reason most of you are here tonight. Union County, unfortunately, has a small group of people, and their membership has changed little in the last 10 years, who are against everything we and I do. I generally refer to them as misfits. They just apparently do not seem to fit anywhere, and their life is going home in the evening and getting on the computer and bashing anyone or everyone about anything. I know many of these folks, and it is unfortunate that they have nothing useful that they can do with their lives but complain about others. They see a conspiracy behind every move we make, and they have dedicated themselves to trying to discredit me with lies, slander, and twisted statements. We've got one over here now using a video camera that he wants to put on YouTube. They are constantly contacting the governor, the attorney general, the newspapers, Channel 2, Richard Belcher, and anyone else they think will listen to them. Most folks have turned a deaf ear to them after so many false wailings over the years. However, they have recently taken a new tack. They did an open records request recently on every check written by the county and every deposit made for the past 2 years. Nothing that we mind. This would ordinarily not be a problem. But unfortunately, they do not have anyone, which I would assume would have the intelligence to decipher the information that they are collecting. And worse yet, they simply want to make more lies about it and post it on the internet, and apparently, after you throw enough crap on the wall, something makes it stick. One of the new ringleaders is a lady named ACOG, Dahlonega, Georgia. That's what her post is. Now, I'm not sure what the ACOG stands for, but I'm just going to refer to it as ACOG. I will not use her name, her personal name. She moved to Union County in the Ivy Log Estate several years ago, right after I took office. She hit me up demanding that I accept her gravel road into the county road system, even though she alone lived on it. It did not qualify, and I did not accept it. And it has been downhill ever since with her. I suggested she move to more than one of the 600 miles of county roads that we have. And bless Pat, she finally did it. She purchased a home right in the middle of a drainage basin where all the rainwater runoff went directly off the county road right through her yard. She demanded that the county pave the road. She immediately started complaining to the road department, the Environmental Protection Division, EPA, the State Soil and Water Conservation Service. We've had them all up here. We followed every recommendation they made, but it had a little impact since water runs downhill. It went through her yard then, and it's still going through it today. We did not want to pave the road because it would just cause even more runoff. In addition, in the past year, she has filed over 50 open records requests in our office. Not just for her, but for several of her associates. It has gotten so bad that it is now seriously impacting our ability to get other work done in the office. As some of you may know, recently, she did ask, as I mentioned earlier, about the checks written and the deposits made. Posted on the internet to make the lies, twisting the truth, false innuendos, with the sole intent of harming my reputation. For some strange reason, while making those false statements, she is also telling everyone to pray for Union County. On the blog internet site, she then asked everyone to come to this meeting so she and others like her could continue their false accusations against me. Well, she made a couple of major mistakes. First, she has made herself a public figure by going on the internet as ACOG, Dahlonega, Georgia. Therefore, I have the right to legally fight back, and will. Second, she is now subject to a lawsuit, and that if she continues, my wife and I will both file against her. My wife is not a public figure, and I don't expect her name to be put in the public. And third, she did not know that so many of you would respond to requests by friends to come to this meeting, and I very much appreciate you being here and your support. The Because of the way this individual has taken the information, she has received and twisted most of it. As of right now, I have instructed my staff to no longer speak to her when she walks in my office. We're required to comply with any open records request, and we always have and always will. But that is all that is required of us. We have had her sit in our office for hours at a time going through the books and records. If she knew or cared about what she was doing, it would be different. But she is not trying to protect the public, but is strictly, in my opinion, trying to badger and slander me at the cost of other taxpayers. Anyone can come in our office, request any records, but normally it is done for specific issues. She and her small band of misfits, as I call them, as I refer to them, are on a witch hunt with information that they have no idea what it means. Here are a few examples and quotes ACOG has placed on the internet. She said, "How much did the farmer's market really cost?" Are y'all bored? Okay. How much did the farmer's market really cost? It is nothing but just a pole barn with a few posts. She cites that Norman put in the North Georgia News that it would cost $350,000, $149, yet it's cost over $600,000 just for a pole barn. The simple answer is that the 8 acres of land and the filling the dirt that we filled and hauled in there, many hundreds of loads, truckloads of dirt, cost nearly $300,000 before the building was even started. In addition, since the building was for public use, and as I mentioned, is over 150 foot in length, we unexpectedly found out we had to hire a professional engineer to design the structure. In addition to the subgrade of the soil, required drastically increased amounts of steel and concrete, none of which was in the original plan. However, my obligation was to finish a product the public would be proud of in a good location and as safe as possible. And I have not heard anybody, except maybe for some of this group, has had anything but great to say about the new farmer's market. Yes, it is just a pole barn, but it's one hell of a pole barn. If we ever have a tornado, you better get over there and chain yourself to it. Because it's not going anywhere. I am proud that we used nearly 60 different local contractors on the project, with almost all the money staying in Union County. I am very proud of that. Another quote from ACOG: "The farmers market the farmers had rather have a tax break instead of working their butts off for the few dollars. They not only have to grow the produce, but then they have to get out and sell it. You will soon be seeing whose pockets are lined in the county, and it's not the farmers. Pray for the county to be free of all the corruption. All it takes for evil to flourish is for men and women of good conscience to remain silent. In God we trust. Report Union County corruption to Union County tipline@gmail.com. So when y'all get home, would y'all send an email to this telling them the corruption, that we're making our farmers grow this food so they'll have to work their butts off to sell it. This statement is simply what I would define as a sign of ignorance at best and just plain mean at worst. Does she think we are making the farmers grow their products and bring them to the market to sell? We are making it available to help them in business, promoting farming as the cheapest way for our county to maintain its green space and maintain its character." She further writes, "These are individual checks written for hotels for our Union County Commissioner, Lamar, and guests to stay. There are 40 checks totaling $13,785.40. Can you imagine the party I could have had?" As a simple example of the either ignorance or choosing not to know or try to find out. These 40 checks written over a 7-month period, I actually stayed one night. The rest for the Board of Elections, the Clerk of the Court, the Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Training, Board of Registrars, the Sheriff's Office GCIC Training, DARE Conference, Tax Commissioner's Office Software Training, and 20 checks are for 3 new firemen who required 6 weeks training down in Forsyth. So I had one night stay during this, out of this $13,000 check. She further states, these checks listed came out of your pocket, the Union County General Account, same checkbook that the cost of the farmer's market came out of. Hope he is kicked out of office before 2012 or he will bankrupt Union County. Of course, this is false, as our SPLOST projects are funded by totally separate accounts. And if I get kicked out of office before 2012, it certainly won't be her that does it. And I hate to pick on a woman, and I hate to pick on this person, and I'm really not totally, because there are others, and I'll address that in a minute. Further states, Lamar needs to tell Union County why and where the check is for over $700,000 that are made out to Union County Commissioner. Pray for Union County. One good thing we're getting out of this is a lot of good prayers. And the simple truth is, each month we have numerous accounts in Union County. Most of those accounts are all called Union County Commissioner, because that's what the account is and that's what I am. The only check I have written to me other than payroll is a $200 expense check a month, and it's made out to Lamar Paris, not Union County Commissioner. Each month a check is transferred to a special account for the payment of medical insurance and medical bills for our employees. We budget $1 million a year. And each month, out of our general fund, we write a check to Union County Commissioner. That goes in a special account that the insurance company then drafts payments out of to pay for medical bills. I am not allowed to write checks, I only sign them. Another quote, here are the checks paid to the Recreation Department and the golf course. Yes, this is your tax money. Wouldn't you like to know where that money goes? There are a total of 4 quarterly checks for $96,468 that is paid to the Recreation Department. How many know how good a Recreation Department we have? How do you think it's going to run itself? Do you think it runs itself on good looks? No, this funds the operation and maintenance of Meeks Park and our whole recreation program. I wonder how they think our recreation program has provided 1,000 kids and adults each year without tax dollars. Butternut Golf Course, $64,619. When I took office, I requested that all I wanted was for the golf course to at least break even, so that no taxpayer dollars were needed to operate it. But we also wanted to constantly improve the course, because it's a great part of our economic development here in Union County. Until this year, this has been accomplished. But the poor economy has impacted everything, including golf. In addition, we feel that at least half the amount is due to the lost tournaments and golf business, because the city of Blairsville is building a new sewer line right through the middle of our golf course. And even today, one of the holes is completely closed off. We anticipate in a couple of years, assuming things turn around, this money will be returned to the county. But in the meantime, for the economic development tool that the golf course provides for this county, we are lucky to have it, and this amount of expenditure is not unreasonable. I wanted to mention one other person who posts. There's so many. I just read a brief of them. There's a stack this thick of all the posts. That's what you call it when they put something on the internet blog. This one says, Lamar cannot be trusted with our money. Judging by past history, he says now that the new facility will cost $5 million, referring to our community center. He will actually pay out $10 million for it. He must be stopped. I will definitely go to the meeting on December the 7th, and so should everyone else. I was wondering if the internet poster by the name of Seaboat Run was able to be here tonight, if he'd like to hold his hand up. Finally, Another quote from ACOG. I think the time has come for Union County to unite, stand up to this corruption. Paris told me if I didn't like it, I could get out of his county. Well, I can assure you that I would have loved to have said that. This is obviously another misstatement. It continues, the county belongs to all of us, not just the chosen few. I decided to take a stand and ask everyone to beware of what is going on behind closed doors. This is your town, your money. Pray, pray, pray for God's help. And I can't even make a comment about that. There is much, much more, but you have the gist of it now. She is not alone. There are about 20 or maybe even a few more that get on there and post all the time. You will not see these folks volunteering in our county for anything. You will not see them donating money, and most will not be going to church. Their life is trying to tear others down, and it certainly does not stop with me. I do not read their filth. They spit out because I know many of them, and I know what they stand for. Unfortunately, people occasionally bring that stuff to me, and that's what recently happened while we're here. Am I capable of taking criticism? You bet I am. But it only means something when it comes from someone with enough intelligence to understand the facts. I said earlier, I may run an unorthodox government at times, but I see my job as fair as possible, but at the same time try to make sure that we are putting as many of our folks to work as possible, providing as many services and well-built facilities as possible at the lowest price. We are accomplishing that. You will not find another county that has built the quality of the new Union County Arena as we have anywhere near the price we were able to build it for, even though it required much more grading and rock piling than we ever anticipated. Ask our contractors if they appreciate the work or wish we had bid it all out to large corporations and let it leave the county. Union County books are carefully audited. Every dollar we spend is carefully checked. The purpose of spending so much time at the first of this meeting was to remind those of you who do not remember that I have always dedicated myself, as my family did before me, including my two sisters, to making Union County a better place to live. This is and will not change. My love for this county wants us to have the best we can provide for our children and our adults. This is exactly what we are doing. Why in the world would I want to run a corrupt county? You cannot find a county our size with our budget that can compare with what we have and what we do for our citizens. Your taxes are spent wisely and carefully. Some of these, as I term misfits, who criticize without knowing the facts while hiding behind false names on the internet, they're pathetic. They are not doing anything to help our county, but only want to tear it down, and unfortunately, some want to do it simply to get back at me. I spent a lot of time talking tonight. I apologize, which means I'm almost through. But I felt this was necessary. ACOG and the cohorts will probably continue to come in my office to request more information, and we'll gladly give it to them. But I want the public to know that because she is doing and how she is misusing the information, we're going to make it as difficult as legally possible. We will begin charging her for what it is really costing the taxpayers in time. If she continues to slander me with false information, she should consider hiring an attorney. Because elected officials or not, I have about had it with false statements and outright lies. Don't get me wrong, she's not the worst of the bunch. But she has taken a new tack, which is to use real numbers and twist them to what she wants to say. Now you, the public, know what I am dealing with, and hopefully, as you see the posts on the internet in the future, don't waste your time reading them. It is just a small group that hate me and anyone else that does not agree with them, which is most people. Thank you for those of you who came out tonight in support of what we are doing in Union County. I generally spend between 50 and 80 hours a week, minimum, working for you, the taxpayers. and I'm not the only one. Remember, anyone can come by a call or for an appointment, and I will be glad to sit down in my office and explain in detail any question you have about anything in Union County government. However, if you're one of the guys or ladies posting all the negative comments on the internet, do not bother, because I will not answer your questions. Now, since this is a budget hearing, you have a copy of the budget. The budget is down over $50,000 from last year, even though almost all county-related costs have increased, including fuel and power. We lowered the mill rate, which means that everyone's property taxes should have gone down just a few dollars for the third year in a row. And I'm now going to give you a brief overview of that budget. We will adopt this budget on December the 16th at the county meeting. And if you want to, you have this copy. This is our budget. You see the main numbers: $13,259,147. And you're going to see on the right side, you got special funds. There's a special revenue fund, which includes grant funds, law library, and I can't even read my writing, juvenile fund. Enterprise fund revenues is golf and meets parks, SPLOST and roads, includes the bonds that we're paying off and the road projects. And the debt service is SPLOST bonds that we're paying off. There's a lot behind this document. There's probably, I'm just guessing, a couple of thousand individual line items that have to be gone through. Robin is here, my accounting director. She will know any details. Anybody has any particular details on this budget they want to ask, I'll take those questions now. Or any questions on this particular budget?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your general administration on your original from the year end from December 31st, 1999, you budgeted $415,000. This year, you're budgeting $261,225. You actually spent $1,442,383. How did you come up with that? I gave you a copy of that from last year.
It's because the auditors make me combine the general fund and our health insurance fund. So that's why one is separated from the other.
Your data processing records, you budgeted $105,000 in 1999. You actually spent $167,000, and this year you only have $12,000 budgeted for that amount.
That's because we no longer have the, because the readdressing is done, we don't have those employees anymore.
Okay, on the fire you only budgeted $837,000, and you spent $860,000 last year. So are we under budgeting for the fire?
No, ma'am. We're trying to lower our costs on all of our departments, so we've lowered a lot of our budgeted expenditures because we've asked them to cut back.
But like on squash, you put on budgets on that too, but you said like for the farmer's market and the pro shop and, the farmer's market, the arena and the cannery was only going to cost us $784,000.
Those are sales tax funds. They're specifically for nothing else but capital improvements. They are not your property tax dollars. Property tax dollars run the operation of the county. Sales tax runs the capital project. So we have latitude in operating with the capital projects because we have more money. We can just, if we need more money in one account, we can simply drop one of the projects and add it to that. But in the operation of the county, we can't do that. We can't drop the fire department and pick up a little bit of money for the recreation department. So we have to do it incrementally.
Okay, for public education, you spent $21,000 in 1999, and now you're spending $199,000 in the budget.
I don't have that information in front of me. First place, we don't have anything here in 1999. So I don't know if you're referring to 2009.
I gave you a copy, this is your actuals.
You gave me a copy, I'm not at, we're working on the 2011 budget. If you're working on the 1999 budget, that's totally irrelevant. I don't have it, don't have a copy of it, haven't looked at it, don't need to look at it. Okay, are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions, just for clarification. One of the line items is building maintenance, and there's another line item that's general government buildings and plants. Could you explain the difference between those two? Is there a difference, or why do we have two separate line items?
Robin will look that up for you, and I prefer
I'm sorry,
that.
which ones are you inquiring about?
The second line down, building maintenance, and then about a dozen lines more down, general government buildings and plants. I just was wondering why there were two items there.
One is usually just for the courthouse, and the other one is for the other buildings.
Okay, all right. The other question I had, risk management, is that insurance policy premiums?
Yes.
Or, okay. Let's see, what else? Is there a reserve fund? And do we know approximately how much we have in the reserve fund?
You mean like fund balance? I'm not sure.
He's talking about a fund balance reserve fund. I don't have the numbers with me. Yes, we have a reserve fund. It's not very large. It's gone up a little bit each year. I think it's in the excess of $1 million, but I don't have that information available. Robin will be glad to get that for you.
Okay. And one last.
But we do keep a smaller fund balance or reserve. We keep a smaller reserve fund than most counties, because a lot of counties will keep 4 or 5 or 6 months in reserve in the bank. What we try to do is let the taxpayers hold on to most of that money. We try to just keep the minimum, because we can always go and borrow at the end of the year if we have an emergency that comes up. So we've chosen to try to keep that reserve at a minimum, so that we're not taking a lot of your property tax dollars and putting them in the bank and us drawing interest on it when you can be doing the same thing.
The last question is about the tax digest. Do we have confirmation on how much it's gone down? Has it gone down? And if so, how
The
much?
tax digest went down, I think, about 3% this past year. This following year, though, we don't have a number yet. We're afraid that our tax digest could go down as much as 10 or 12%. If it does that this next year, then it may require a millage increase, not a tax increase, but a millage increase.
But that would be for 2012.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the budget? Okay, does anybody have any comments they want to make about any projects we've done, whether you like them or dislike them, or think we're... Yes.
Yes, sir. I'm the president of Union County Saddle Club. Mighty proud of the Union County Arena and what it has done. And I think a lot of times we have folks that do not understand what we do there. And I'd like to just elaborate on that just a little bit as far as the type of shows. We have a lot of horse shows there. Because of the PDA held us up getting started, but we ended up starting out on June 21st. Until now, we had 19 major events there. Wow. Last Saturday was one of the, going down 4 lane, you figured out there was something going on there. There was over 600 families in there, got food and food drive. Very proud to have a facility that's state of the art that can stand up to anywhere from Prairie, Georgia this way. I mean, the only other facility is a totally enclosed, totally heated, totally air conditioned facility. We have people coming here from Madison, Georgia to all over Tennessee, North Carolina, as far down in Georgia as Macon, coming here for different shows for different things. The Saddle Club has been able to help with a lot of problems that people have had in the community. We put on benefits and that type of stuff. We put on a bank account. invitational shows where we take the handicapped people out each year, put them on a horse, lead them down, give them a trophy, feed them dinner. We have our nursing home people have been down there about 2 or 3 times this year. Very, very special moments to watch this stuff.
What about the kids? How many kids you got involved?
Right now, our biggest classes are, you can go down there and so you're gonna see more kids in the classes than there are adults. Our bigger classes are 30, 35 people in class, kids running barrels, doing that type of thing. You think, well, it's just horse thing, but you can take dollar for dollar a horse crusher. They gotta buy the feed, they gotta buy the hay, they gotta have a bigger truck than you have to have. They have a trailer, they have to have the horses shod, they keep them year round. Dollar for dollar, you can match them against any ball player in the United States. And we pay out more. I came to our county for our feed, for our fertilizer, for our fencing supplies. We put it right back into our county. Don't grumble about our Union County arena, because you come down there and spend a little time with us. We'll treat you so many ways you'll have to like one.
Gerald, this, and I hate to even mention this, and I shouldn't because it's a catty remark, but have you seen much corruption going on down there?
I'm going to add one thing to that. Next year, when you watch the paper and you see our invitation, our special invitation show, please come. This year, an 87-year-old lady from the nursing home came, and she was in a wheelchair. And she said, I haven't ridden since I was 14 years old. We have a platform that we walk the horses up to. And we took her out of her wheelchair and sat her in the horse in the saddle, and someone got on behind her with a safely hold her on. We had 5 people walking around that horse with the helmets on these people. And we led her around. She rode that horse 5 times. And she also had the wagons available for them to ride. We also have, I don't know if any of y'all know Karen Davis. She's lived in this town all her life. She just recently turned 30. She comes and she rides. And the ride, they have an opportunity to do this at least twice a year. Sometimes we have an opportunity to do it 3 times. And it's a special moment. The Republican Party came down there in September and had a gathering, and they were able, because of the speaker system that was put in this facility, they were able to do their speeches, they were able to do fundraisers. This facility is not just for the agricultural community, although it is wonderful to be able to have the 4-H come down there. We are looking forward to working with the Cattlemen's Association. They've already contacted everyone about coming down there and doing cattlemen's shows. But we would invite you, just drive down there any day of the week and drive around that facility. It's always open unless if there's a stock contractor that we putting on a show the next day that has his livestock there. We lock the gates for his safety. We locked the gates last Friday night because Walmart had donated a truckload of refrigerated food back at their refrigeration truck down there, and we locked it for their safety. So 99% of the time, that facility is open, and I will guarantee you that if you go down there any Sunday afternoon, that is fairly warm, you go down there any Saturday, and most days, even during the week, you will find somebody from this county with their horses riding in that arena because it is open all the time for them to go down there and just ride. So it's not just a facility that is used part-time, it's used just about 7 days a week.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
If we ever get around to selling alcohol in the county, is there a special purpose for that tax money, or will it just go in the general.
No, ma'am, the tax money, and we are already getting around to that. The tax money, at least the first 30, don't have my numbers right in front of me, but I think the first $30,000 we're using to help fund the Anti-Drug Coalition and another, we're gonna take half of that money, $15,000 for the Anti-Drug Coalition and $15,000 for other groups that wanna apply for assistance that are treating drug and alcohol related issues. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Patricia Langwatz. I've lived in this county just a year, but I've been coming here for, 10, 12 years with my husband. And I've lived in many places, different places, so has my husband, and we can honestly tell you this is the best place we've ever lived. I have never seen a community run as wonderfully as this community. And I just want, you people don't know how lucky you are.
Lamar, I'm glad Jackie brought up the alcohol thing, because I've noticed in the county, nobody has actually bothered to thank you for doing that. Now,
Sometimes you don't need to thank.
the fact is, this was something that was inevitable, what happened right here in this county. It was going to happen, and I'm glad that it happened on his watch, because he will regulate it, he'll make sure it's done right, and if there is a problem, he'll move to fix it right away. And this is something that I think we all should be thankful for, because we know it was going to happen. Like you had said years ago, you can't build a fence around this county. And thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I have lived other places too, and I agree with everything that she had to say. Tom and I have been here a little bit longer than that. And yes, we've been coming up in this area about 37 years. We picked Blairsville because of everything that Blairsville had. The Meeks Park, the golf course, the hospital. I don't want to have to always go to Emory for something. Now, I just had back surgery at Emory, but I don't want to always have to do that. This is a great place to live. We have so much to be thankful for, and you've done a fine job.
Thank you. I'm really not doing this to get accolades tonight, but we really do have a great community, and it's not because of me. It's because of so many people that are willing to help each other. There's no community anywhere that has the caring and the sharing that our community has.
Well, I've been here 70-something years. I'm an old mountain man, and I can remember when this place was in the mud. And I want to just say that take out the politics out of it. I appreciate what you've done for the last 10 years. It's been a great improvement, and I've been here all my life.
Thank you. What's up, Jack?
Mr. Commissioner, I just want to point out the foresight that this community had with the farmers market. And when you stop to think about the cannery that's involved in that system, some of us are paying more attention to the news than others. But the day might come when we need that here to survive. And that cannery and that facility could be the central point of Union County's success if the system doesn't work like it's supposed to on the national level.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Sweeney, I've talked to you in the past about these political issues, but in reference to the Open Records Act, I don't know what the laws are, in reference to Georgia. This is what was providing open records to people for a time frame within which you have to present them, or if in fact the county could make their own rule about submissions for records requests by mail, instead of having people come in bothering you in the office and having your staff be occupied doing that when they can be doing other county business. I don't want to, you don't want to see anybody deprived of the right to open records. I know it can be a hassle, you know, especially if it's abused. So I don't know if there's set laws regarding that or what, but I'm going to check in to see if the county can adopt their own rule as far as submission for those records. And hey, you have to do it by mail, you get it within 3 days.
Okay, well, thank you, and let me do clarify that. Open records law requires that within 3 days, we notify you when we will be able to have those records available and what the cost will be for us to get those records. So there is a law on it, and you can write in and request open records by mail. That is already legal. Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to take one thing away from you. I think you're doing a wonderful job. But I would like to speak about the people that live in this county. I'm looking around and I see a number of you who have served at the polls. These people get up at they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, they get there at 6, and they might get home by 10 or 11 at night. They do this for the money. They get $7 or $8 an hour, and a sandwich. If we have heroes in this county, to my way of thinking, these are the people that are heroes. They come out, they work hard. Sometimes the election is nothing. They're sitting there all day, bored out of their socks. But other counties are fighting to get people to volunteer to do this. They call and they say, "Can we have some of yours?" I told them no. It would be illegal for starters, but we have no problem getting poll workers. And that is the spirit that exists in this county. And I love it.
Thank you.
We talked about a lot of big projects for our county and how well they're run and how well they're operated. I just want to let you know that this commission sees to every small request that an individual has. I called his office a few months ago because I was beginning to have a sinkhole in my front yard. And it began to get deeper and bigger, and it was headed towards my deck. And I didn't want to wake up one morning and find my deck standing in my house going next, and I didn't know what to do. I hadn't had any experience with sinkholes. I called his office, and one afternoon, and the very next morning, a county truck and 2 gentlemen were out there to see about my sinkhole. Thank you, Lamar.
Oh, thank you. Okay, is there another one over?
Did you
Okay.
have a question?
Let me mention just a couple other things that we're doing with the SPLOST projects and already have done. I'd hope to have a slide presentation, but there was just too much to do and we just didn't have time to get ready. But just to remind you of some of the other things we've done, the gym at the middle school, it's called what's the rubber floor gym? It's called the rubber floor gym. We were fortunate that the school worked with us and let us use that in our recreation department. We went over there and completely redid the parking lot, paved the parking lot, put stone around the building where it had holes knocked in it for years, fixed the drainage problems there. One project went right down the road to the Civic Center. We spent a little over $250,000 totally rehabbing the Civic Center. I don't know how many of you have been there. It's just like a new building. It's a great facility. We also have done a community center in Suches. We took the old gym that we had to tear down and moved it across the highway and put it back up, and then added some things to it, and now we have a really neat and great community center at Suches that I think they were all proud of and we're proud of. And we're in the process of moving the old Choice Toy School. We've now moved it to a new location. We're in the process of getting a roof on it. Funds are tight right now, and we're fixing to start on the community center. We're already started on it. We're fixing to really get in gear. The library, of course, you can't miss that if you've been in town. It's definitely under construction in a major way. And there are several other things that I can't even remember. It is amazing that one penny, that one little penny can do that much to help our county and other counties. So, remember Christmas and buying your gifts. Try to shop at home. As much as you can, try to shop at home, because that money is critical that we continue to do what we're doing for you. And are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any plans to do anything with the old gym?
The
The
old-
high school, what we mentioned?
Okay.
I know the rec department is using it now.
Yeah, the old gym, what's called the old middle school gym, the red gym, and it's actually the gym I went to high school in and had my high school prom in. We have put that on the last two SPLOST list to rehab. And it's one of the projects that we hope to get to. That project along with, at Meeks Park, the amphitheater. Amphitheater at Meeks Park is one of our projects. That's one project. And we're gonna try to get to them if money comes. If it doesn't, that's why we've improved, we've tried to get these other gyms that we're using now, and particularly the work we did on the rubber floor gym, to try to shift some of our recreation up that way. But I wanna save that gym because that's where we went to school, and it's a good building. And so we're not gonna let it go. It may go down a little while, but we're gonna salvage it before it's over. Yes, sir, in the back.
I'm a Vietnam veteran, ex-Marine, and I haven't been in politics much, but I observe. And what I notice is cowards criticize because they don't have the courage to come up with an idea of their own. They don't know how to think, so it's easy to criticize things and people because we all have something that can be criticized. Use your energy to come up with something creative, and that's the country I went to war for, not your crappy ideas.
Thank you for the service to our country, as we always honor all veterans, and we appreciate what you've done. Okay, a couple more.
Having had someone say they needed to apologize, Lamar, I need to apologize because I sold that lady some property. It was a happy day when she moved out of that subdivision. It will be a happier day when she moves out of Union County.
We don't want to bash anybody too bad. Mickey? Oh, Ricky, go ahead, Ricky.
No, I gotta go.
Oh. Can you stand up? That means you're going to talk. Mickey?
I know a lot of these projects cost a lot of money, but they put a lot of money back in our county. We need to think about those type things. My best estimate, our farmers market this year probably pumped back over $100,000 into this county that we hadn't been getting in the past. Our cannery, a lot of people come in there and use the cannery, and if you compare the prices in the food stores to what they would have to buy if they purchase those things, our cannery is probably pumping about $40,000 a year back into individual pockets.
Can I do a quick commercial?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to keep money in our county. I would like to invite everyone to go over to the senior center and do part of your Christmas shopping there. Handmade aprons, placemats, doilies, quilts. Please, just go over and see what's there. You might really be surprised. Priced reasonable, and help you with your Christmas shopping.
Thank you. Okay, if that's all, and remember, if you've got any questions, you can ask us tonight, you can call the office tomorrow, come by, we're there for you. Thank you very, very much for being here.